This is Dan Watson from Enterprise Earth, and you are watching Richard Metal Fan.
Hey everyone, it's Richard Metalfan here, bringing you guys a brand new or another 2022 album review. And today we're going to be talking about the new album from the band Enterprise Earth entitled The Chosen, which is out now through E1 Music Records. Now, Enterprise Earth, for those of you who aren't familiar with them, they're a deathcore band from Washington, been around since 2014, and I've just been a fan of Enterprise Earth since probably around late 2015, early 2016. It was somewhere around there. Um, and I remember first seeing them back in 2015. They played at the fucking shittiest venue in Georgia, Swayze's venue, which isn't even around anymore. It's a fucking barbershop, but that's another story for another time. And I didn't even knew it was Dan back then, but it wasn't until a little after that then I started becoming a fan. They've been putting out their albums. Well, before that, had the one EP called 23, which came out in 2014. Then 2015, we got their debut full-length album, Patient Zero, which is great. And then 2017, that was Embodiment, which is still in that just typical deathcore. But I feel like they slowly started changing a little bit with their previous full length album in 2019 called the Luciferus. But then in 2020, when of course this COVID shit happened, then they released an EP called The Foundation of Bones, which is actually kind of like a little preview for The Chosen a little bit. It has like the heavy moments, and of course they had an acoustic version of I forget the one song from Luciferus, but and there was also the introduction of clean vocals, which is really interesting. So here we are in 2022 with the band's fourth full-length album. Does it kind of exceed what Luciferus has? In my honest opinion, I think it definitely has. I remember when I did my interview with Dan Watson, he pretty much described like the Foundation of Bones was sort of like the preview for The Chosen, and I could definitely see it. It is. Just one thing to note is the production. The production on this album is really good. Like everything is where it needs to be. And vocally, in my opinion, Dan Watson's vocals really just have improved a little bit in terms of like his growling and just like he does like the more low guttural stuff and even more of the higher kind of like black metal shrieks. And then his clean vocals, even from the Foundation of Bones EP, I just think the cleans add a lot more depth and a lot more atmosphere to it. And then the guitar work, I think Gabe, compared to like the original guitarist I feel like Gabe stepped up his guitar playing a bit, and just the guitar work in general is pretty solid. And you have like these like the solo sections that take up the center stage, and it just really shines really well. Well, especially with like the heaviness of like the rhythm guitars in the back. The bass on this album is a little bit audible. I kind of wish I was a little bit heard. And drumming wise, Brandon Zaki does a really great job handling the drum tracks on here. So without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting things off is Where Dreams Are Broken. And I'm loving the change in the sound with this song. It kind of this has like very speedy riffs to like a kind of like an interesting verse that kind of reminds me a little bit of Slipknot, and Dan almost doing kind of like a wailing kind of like style singing in the chorus, which kind of reminds me a little bit of like Travis Ryan from Cal Decap. And there's a lot of interesting things that are going on here, and I'm really excited to hear for this album. And I think it's a really great way and a great representation of what to expect for The Chosen. Next up is Reanimate Disintegrate. Now, this is, in my opinion, the heaviest song on here. It's a brutal track that has Dan delivering retching gutturals all throughout, and has like groovy interludes across this track. Enterprise Earth will keep you guessing, and then about midway through, the Carnage pauses and then slips it to an extended kind of like eeriness, which links us into like a filthy slow breakdown, and eventually sliding into the rhythm that the track started with. And this song will just leave you with no relief or consistency, as it suddenly ceases again with the wraparound breakdown before the guitar medley. Next up is Unleash Hell. Now, this starts off with an acoustic guitar to start it off, and then the melody that moves through into the heaviness of the song becomes part of the song itself. And I love that transition. It carries forth and grows with the instrumentation and the vocals, and it adds a lot of like thickness and layers. And the clean vocals in the chorus really create like a lot of melancholy and creates movement, and it makes the song like feel alive. And this whole section on here is very old school sounding. I really dig it. Next up is I Have to Escape. I think it's a pretty good song. And then it goes into The Tower, which is fucking another sick song. Like all these songs are pretty good. And then we move on to They Have No Honor. Now, They Have No Honor, this song has some sick drumming, and the guitars create heaviness that just moves you with brutality, and the vocals add to that brutality it packs in. But when the clean vocals come in, it doesn't change the dynamic of the song or an atmosphere, but I just feel like everything around it makes it even heavier, and it adds to the heaviness. And the thrash, there's a thrashy riff in there that adds a lot more to the momentum, and there's the real transition is the solo section, which feels a little different. It feels like it just fits together really well. Next up is Overpass, and Overpass is more of a mellow build-up towards a sturdy melodic metallic anthem with a booming, bold percussion and thick, groovy bass. And then we get into You Couldn't Save Me, a really good song. I really love the vocal work from Dan on this track. And then we get to Unhollowed Path, another good song. I like it. Next up is Legends Never Die, and I really like this song. The vocals, guitars, drums, the mixing, and the strings in the background, which is just unfucking real. And around 2.5 minutes in, I just think it's a really great part. It just shows like a great example of musicianship and the lyricism, creating a beautiful motif. And I don't know, it's a banger of this track. Next song on the album is called My Blood, Their Satiation, a pretty solid song. Skeleton Key, which is a very heavy and groovy song, and it's really a banger. And the drums ground the track, and the guitars move the song forward, and the vocals finish it up. But it's really powerful. Then we go to the title track of the album, The Chosen, and here Enterprise Earth sort of like exists in the closest thing in when they first started out, how with like a bombastic, ruthless chugs that pretty much eviscerate the listener, or even with like the greater turn of the more melodic here. And then we close things out with Atlas. And I think the highlight of this song is Dan's like strength and his clean vocals. While he is no stranger to the occasional song passage, especially with his little side project, which is just fucking heavy, Meyer lore. And these portions of The Chosen really just see him expand on his talent throughout this whole album, and like singing throughout like entire verses and not just the segments as well. Now, overall, The Chosen by Enterprise Earth, I think, is like a new beginning for the band, a new chapter, new sound, new everything. So if I were to give this album a score, I'm going to give The Chosen by Enterprise Earth a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's a pretty good album. It's really stepped it up a bit. So yeah, that's my review of the album, guys. And if anybody's going to see Enterprise Earth February 4th at the Masquerade with Fit for an Autopsy, Ingested, Signs of the Swarm, and Great American Ghost, I'll be there, so come say hi. So yeah, that's my review of the album, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.